places in the world that offer the perfect combination of groomed trails, fresh powder, and bright sunshine. Ingredients required to evaluate the new 1995 snowmobiles. One of those places is the Black Hills of South Dakota. The Snowgoer test crew returned to the Black Hills this year for the first time since 1986. And the results? Well, see for yourself. Strap on your helmet and get your goggles in place as we take you back to the hills for the 1995 Road Reports.
And push them harder than before, and we'll have a good time, test riding more and more. Back to the hills.
I was ice fishing when my Chevy fell through the ice. We hauled it out, full of water, frozen solid. I changed the plugs, the fluids. It started right up. That was 100,000 miles ago.
Man, you think that's something. One night in 1980, a friend and myself were looking for a hunting spot. We missed a turn and actually went into a canal. You could see the headlights shining underwater with fish going by. Slammed in reverse and backed right out. The truck never missed a beat.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
For active snowmobilers who want to be in the know and the first to know, there is only one source, Snowgoer Magazine. Snowgoer provides in-depth, unbiased information on the new machines. Only Snowgoer is willing to go out on a limb and tell you which sleds are better than others and what one machine deserves to be called Snowmobile of the Year. Snowgoer will take you to new vacation hotspots, tell you how to save money on performance add-ons, and keep you posted on what new products really work and products that don't. Order now 4 issues of Snowgoer for just $10.97. Call toll-free 1-800-877-6118 and charge to your Visa or MasterCard. That's 4 action-packed issues for just $10.97. Call now. The 1995 Road Report's test crew took the Black Hills of South Dakota by storm. When the snow dust settled after 5 fantastic days of evaluation, 46 prototype snowmobiles from Arctic Cat, Polaris, Skidoo, and Yamaha had been tamed. The moment was captured on 6,300 color slides and 700 black and white tech photos. Nearly 8,000 miles were accumulated on these sleds. In a mere 5 days and over 13 hours of raw video footage was shot. The vast amount of information and footage was possible due to the dedication and insight of the Snowgoer staff and a select group of consumer guest riders who put these 46 machines to the test. For almost a decade, it has been tradition to have 4 teens, 4 women, and 4 pro racers as guest riders at the Road Reports to help evaluate the new snowmobiles. These special guests are solicited through Snowmobile and Snowgoer magazines, and after sorting through thousands of entries, representatives of today's women and teen riders are selected to join the magazine staff for a week of riding at the Road Reports. Women make up a growing percentage of those riding out there every weekend, and the teens represent the future of the sport. As consumers, they have important things to say about snowmobiling, and the Road Reports is the place to say it. This year, 2 additional guest riders were included, representing an expanding group of riders, people who for one reason or another got out of the sport years ago and are now returning. This group was represented by Tom and Sheila Morley from Forest Lake, Minnesota. They rode a variety of machines to sample the difference in technology from 1979, when they bought their last snowmobile, to 1995. All 4 of these groups, the teens, the women, the racers, and the Morleys, will be featured in upcoming issues of Snowgoer Magazine. In fact, much of Snowgoer's editorial content for the coming season was gathered at the 95 Road Reports. But you don't have to wait for all the issues to come out. We'll give you a look behind the scenes at the 95 Road Reports. We may even let you in on a few secrets. As you can see, the 1995 Road Reports is more than an event. It's an opportunity to learn about the latest in snowmobile technology from Yamaha, Arctic Cat, Skidoo, and Polaris, and an opportunity to put that technology to the test. Speaking of the manufacturers, let's get busy and see what Yamaha has in store for the upcoming season.
Hi, I'm Dan Hauser. I'm editor of Snowmobile and Snowgoer Magazine. And as you can see, I'm sitting on top of the 95 VMAX 4. Probably one of the most changed of the Yamahas for 95. Although they've done a lot of graphic changes for the year, they've also updated the motor on this brand new engine, an 800 in here. And let me tell you, it runs great. Another thing that's standard on the VMAX line this year is an adjustable hand warmer. It's probably the best one in the business. If you're snowmobiling in a very, very cold area, it will work great and it'll keep your hand warm. Another new changes this year for Yamaha include their new VX clutch, which backshifts much more smoothly and increases belt life. Yamaha is updating this year, and they've done some great changes.
For 95, Yamaha's direction is improving upon its strengths, which means tweaking the popular VMAX line. All VMAX models will have the new Yamaha VX clutch system. This system consists of new primary and secondary clutches and is more efficient than the previous YXRC system. The result is smoother shifting, increased acceleration and top end, and longer belt life. The 95 VMAXs also feature a new infinitely adjustable hand and thumb warmer system, which allows the rider to dial in the desired amount of heat he needs. But Yamaha didn't stop there. The VMAX sleds have a new exhaust Y-pipe with ring-tight gasket to improve durability and reduce wear. Yamaha has also added a partitioned rear heat exchanger for improved performance and a new footrest design for added comfort. The 1995 Yamaha DX models are comprised of deluxe features and designed for two-up touring. They have 136-inch ultra block pattern tracks that provide a smoother ride, A taller windshield, 2.5 inches taller, provides better wind protection, and passenger grip warmers and large storage box in the rear of the seat have been added to a long list of standard features, including 2-up seating, reverse gear, and electric start. The long-track VMAX ST models sport a new Mountain Master high-profile track to enhance performance in deep snow. New on the Phaser 2 line is a YXR clutch with button-type slider in the primary clutch for smoother shifting and a larger track drive axle for improved performance. The big news for 95, however, is that the Corvette in Yamaha's lineup, the VMAX 4, is now an 800cc muscle sled. The bore has been increased to increase displacement to 791 cc's, and a new one-piece jack shaft and larger drive chain make the VMAX 4 more powerful than ever. The 95 VMAX 4 also comes with a wider 40-inch ski stance to enhance handling and a new aerodynamic blacked-out windscreen. Speaking of power, which the VMAX 4 has plenty of, one group of riders spent a bulk of their time riding the muscle sleds for the photographers at the road reports, our 4 stunt pilots, the 1995 Pro Racers. What would the road reports be without its infamous pro riders who push the sleds to the extreme and test every ounce of their ability? This year's 4 pro riders were Pat Houck, Steve Hansen, Nolan Nakamose, and Mark Thompson. Each have different racing specialties, and you'll learn why their reputations precede them. When snowmobilers think about drag racing, the name that often comes to mind first is that of Pat Houck. The Rice Lake, Wisconsin native started racing snowmobiles professionally in 1975.
The sled that I liked most this weekend was the 600 VMAX. I race it all summer and in the winter on the ice, push it to the limit, but this weekend I got a chance to actually ride it and spend some time on it. The acceleration and the ride was just fantastic.
Houck has been devoted to Yamaha snowmobiles since the beginning. He has won championships at the World Series of Drags for an unprecedented 11 straight years and won a high point title at the event 5 years in a row. Pat currently races a VMAX 4, VMAX 500, VMAX 600, and an Exciter, commonly referred to as the Iceman. Houck definitely put the new Yamahas through their paces in the Black Hills. Few drivers dice over the moguls and bumps like Team Arctic racer Steve Hansen. Hansen races both snowcross and cross country and has been highly successful in both.
Okay, the highlights for me for the road reports were being able to go out and ride for the cameras and kind of show the things that the sleds will actually do and how they handle, how they'll go through the snow and take the bumps and the jumps and the corners, and it was a real honor for me to be able to do that.
This past season, Steve collected 7 pro-class victories. Hansen directed his Arctic Cat ZR race sleds to 3 victories in the MRP race at Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and a win at the Duluth Snowcross. Steve then traveled east to dominate a weekend of snowcross racing in upstate New York. Hansen is one of Arctic Cat's top rising stars, and his riding prowess showed at the 95 road reports. If anybody knows their way around a Polaris snowmobile, it's Nolan Nakamose. Nolan has been racing since 1981 and is a former Polaris test rider.
The snowmobile I was most impressed with was the RXL, which comes with the new extra travel suspension. And for a snowmobile to just run down the trails and hit the rough stuff, I mean, it's just unbelievable how smooth and how well it rides, and I was really impressed with it. And that was my sled of choice if I was going out trail riding, and every chance I got, I took it out for a ride.
Nolan grew up in Roseau, Minnesota, where his father was a racer and a Polaris factory employee. Nolan has raced everything, from ovals to hill climbs to snowcross, but his specialty is, and always has been, cross-country racing. This past season, Nakamose won 2 straight races on the grueling ISOC race circuit aboard his Polaris XCR. He is also a former winner of the I-500, the world's toughest snowmobile race. Moose also proved to be an accomplished stunt rider at the road reports. If you want to learn how to make a skidoo climb a hill, your first call for help should be to Mark Thompson. Mark has raced cross-country and participated in grass drag races, but his specialty is hill climbing.
The greatest highlight of the trip is probably the ability to meet new faces and new people. You read about these racers, you read about the consumers and what they like, and being able to work hand in hand with them and close with them and meet new friends. It's an opportunity to really get to feel for what they're all about and to know that they're real people.
The resident of Providence, Utah is a regular on the Western Hill Climb circuits, a regular participant and a regular winner. When Thompson attacks a hill on his Summit 583, Summit 670, or MXZX, you can expect a display of riding prowess. Mark has won several championships at the Jackson Hole World Hill Climb, and in 1989, Thompson was crowned King of the Hill for the mod classes. And with the abundance of power inside hilling, Thompson felt right at home in the Black Hills. Now that you know a little bit about the test pilots, let's slow down the action to get a good look at some of the new 95 machines. While the pro racers were out hamming it up for the camera, the 4 women guest riders were busy riding and evaluating 8 new 95 models. They were chosen randomly for their enthusiasm and interest in the sport of snowmobiling. These are not novice riders. They've been riding collectively for 78 years, and several have been involved in racing. That's a lot of experience. Janice Nielsen is 36 years old and has been snowmobiling for 24 years. She grew up with a family of sled enthusiasts, and Janice and her husband Jeff have passed this passion on to their 5 children. They feel it is a great sport to share with the entire family.
I think what I'm looking for most in the sled, because of the riding that I do, I'm from Utah, and so we have a lot of steep terrain. We have a lot of deep powder, and we go up a lot of fun hills. So I need something that I can maneuver really well, that's not so heavy that I can't get out there and have some fun. So the maneuverability is a big factor, and also a close second will be the power. I need the punch, and I need it right now, because sometimes there's split-second decisions as to whether you're going to be stuck for a while or getting out of a situation. And of course, price range is always a big consideration, especially if you're just getting into the sport. The next thing would be access to a really good dealer. A snowmobile is only as good as the dealer or the manufacturer that backs it. So that's something that's very important too. And it also has to be a good-looking sled, because if I'm going to pay that much money, I want something that is very classy looking. But the manufacturers have done such a great job this year. I saw some beautiful sleds. So I'm pretty excited to go out there and look at the market and get a new one this year.
Janice has raced and won trophies at different grass drag events, When she's not out snowmobiling with the family, Janice has her hands full with speaking and singing engagements around the state, appearing as the former Mrs. Utah USA. She feels the 95 Road Reports was a great way to compare different machines. And the timing couldn't be better, since she's in the market for a new sled. Snowmobiling in central New York? You bet. And Lisa Miller has been doing it for 14 years. In fact, she puts on approximately 1,600 miles a year, January through March. She's not only an enthusiast, but an activist in the sport as well.
My most memorable highlight of the road reports, I would have to say, is just being picked for the program. You get to come out here, try out the new sleds, meet a lot of interesting people who contribute to the sport of snowmobiling. You get to meet some of the pro riders. You meet other women who are in your sport from different parts of the country. You get to make friendships with wonderful people, and I think just being picked was the best memory I will ever have.
Lisa belongs to her local snowmobile club and participated in search and rescue missions during a 1993 blizzard. Lori Van Dam Johnson has spent a majority of her 32 years as an avid snowmobiler. Her earliest memories are of getting bundled up to go sledding with the family and wearing a helmet that was bigger than she was.
What I look for in a sled, first of all, would be a comfort ride. You have to have a good ride in order for yourself to be performing well on a sled. The performance of a sled is very important.
Lori won her first trophy at the age of 10 and was bit by the racing bug. She continued to race at a time when women racers were far and few between, so she raced against the men. She met her husband while racing, and they were later married on the back of their sleds. She and her husband now spend most of their winter enjoying the trails of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The fourth woman guest rider is Minnesota native Kim Fillion, who started riding 10 years ago after meeting her husband, who was an avid snowmobiler.
An idea that comes to mind when I think of how to get more women involved in snowmobiling. This may sound off the wall, but what first comes to mind is to say, guys out there watching this video, grab your wives, your girlfriends, your significant others, drag them, bribe them, whatever you can do, get them down to your nearest dealership, tell them there's going to be a big reward afterwards, you're going to take them to dinner, whatever you think they're going to do this for. Get them on a sled. Let them see that nowadays the snowmobiles have improved so much and the comfort is there, and a woman can get out there and not feel like she's got to manhandle a sled or get beat up or freezing. The clothing is fabulous. I think in almost any trail conditions you could really get out there and the two of you could enjoy this sport together, and that's the other incentive.
Kim started out with a luxury sled, but realized that her wild streak had a need for speed. Her next sled gave her the best of both worlds: play on the trails and the ability to fly across a lake. When she's not flying across a lake, Kim is busy flying across the country as a flight attendant for Northwest Airlines. Now that you've met the women guest riders, let's meet with Arctic Cat to see what they have in store for the 95 season.
Hello, my name is Craig Voorhees, Associate Editor for Snowmobile and Snowgoer Magazines. New for Arctic Cat for 1995 is the ZRT 800, the Z440, the ZR580 EFI, and the EXT Powder Special. Several other trail machines received the AWS4 suspension for improved handling. Arctic Cat has also introduced a brand new line of utility machines called the Bearcats. Definitely keep an eye on Arctic Cat in 1995.
The biggest news from Thief River Falls is the introduction of the newest addition to the ZR family, the 1995 ZRT 800. Cat has added an 800cc liquid-cooled triple to the proven ZR chassis. The ZRT also features AWS4 front, fast-track rear, and Fox gas shocks all around. Also new is the EXT Powder Special, a deep powder sled born from the high-performance ZRs. It has a narrower 37-inch ski stance and a 136-inch deep lug track to keep you up and out of the deepest snow. But even a long track sled won't make it up steep terrain without power. The 95 Powder Special has all the power you need in a liquid-cooled 580cc twin. featuring a 3-port exhaust for increased horsepower. There's also 2 big changes to existing models in the Arctic Cat line. First, the Cougar has more power with a 550cc engine and more control with the AWS-3 front end. Second, the Pantera now has a 580cc motor with the electronic fuel injection for optimum fuel mixture in varying weather conditions and altitudes. The Pantera continues to offer full instrumentation, electric start, thumb and hand warmers, reverse gear, plus a plush seat with an easy adjust backrest. Work is never fun, but if you have a few chores, you might as well get a little help from any or all of the new Bearcats, the 550, 440, or 340. All 3 of these workhorse sleds feature wraparound bumpers and proven ZR-style hoods for better aerodynamics, wind protection, and improved airflow to the engine compartment. Wide ratio Artco clutches deliver both increased low-end torque for added pulling power, plus speed enough for cruising. The Bearcats also feature an AWS-3 chassis with a narrower 37-inch ski stance to lead you through the deep woods and make side hilling a breeze. The 550 and 440 models feature a wide 16-inch by 156-inch track to keep you on top of the snow, so you'll never wind up being buried in your work. Last but not least, the new Z440 is fan-cooled with 2 VM34 Mikuni carbs. The Z440 features adjustable coil-over gas shocks in the front and Arctic Fast Track, extra long travel slide rail in the rear, with 8.5 inches of travel. The Z440 has all the chassis advancements of the proven ZR, including a race-tested hydraulic disc brake so you can corner like a pro. The Z440 was a hit with our teen guest riders. Once they hit the gas, there was no stopping them. Actually, we were able to slow them down for a few minutes, just long enough to get their input on a few things. By the looks of our 14 guest riders, it appears that the future of snowmobiling is in good hands. David Biggs from Duck Creek Village, Utah, is 14 years old and has been snowmobiling for 4 years. Where David lives, snowmobiling is not just for fun, it's a way of life. In the winter, the road from his house to the highway is not kept open, so travel is done by snowmobiles.
Out of all the sleds that I rode here at the Road Reports, I think that the Ski-Doo Formula MX is the one that fit me best because it had good kick and nice power, great suspension, and it cornered fairly well.
David's family uses sleds daily to travel to town and to carry groceries, laundry, and gasoline from the car to the house. If it wasn't for his sled, David wouldn't be able to get to school. He has to ride his snowmobile just to get to his school bus stop. Even though a lot of his sled time is for utility purposes, David also enjoys recreational snowmobiling and touring with the local snowmobile club. Nathan Connolly of Duluth, Minnesota is 15 years old and has been snowmobiling for 3 years. The best part about snowmobiling, according to Nathan, is all the great people you meet.
I think a good way to get teens involved in snowmobiling is to have a day in which a snowmobile club would take the teen onto a ride and show them what a trail ride is really like, and that would be a good way to expose them to the sport.
Nathan has been riding older sleds since he started in the sport, and the Road Reports was a great opportunity to ride all the new sleds. At the age of 16, Tim Kirk of Flemington, New Jersey, has already been an avid snowmobiler for 7 years. His family got him interested in the sport when they traveled to their cabin in upstate New York.
I think a good way to get teens involved in the sport of snowmobiling would be to have the dealers make a teen test ride so that they could ride around a course, maybe built in the back or in a field, so that they could check the features and options that all the sleds have and see how much fun it actually is.
Every winter, Tim averages 1,500 miles on his sled, and like most teens, is interested in buying a newer sled with more power. Daniel Parton of Thompson, North Dakota, had his first snowmobile ride at the tender age of 2. Now at the age of 14, Daniel has been riding his own sled for 2 years.
The sleds that most impressed me here at Road Reports this year were the Arctic Cat Z440 and the Ski-Doo Formula MX. I like the Articat because of the suspension it had on it and the power and how it turned around corners. And on the Skidoo Formula MX, I like the power it had and how snappy it was and how it looked.
Daniel especially enjoys jumping his sled through new snow and windblown moguls, but Daniel also finds it very important to ride safely. He and his brother help mark trails in the area they ride for the protection of all riders. As you can see, these 4 teenagers are very responsible and experienced. All of the Road Report's guest riders provided valuable feedback on the new machines, and they had plenty of opportunity to form opinions, riding from 8:30 to 5 every day. But at the end of each day, the Road Report's test crew found out there was much more to the Black Hills than just snowmobiling. Walking through Deadwood, South Dakota is like walking through an old Western movie, a place where yesterday touches today. In 1874, after gold was discovered in Deadwood Gulch, as it was called, the gold rush began. Some struck it rich, but many more were left to ponder an uncertain future on the frontier. After the gold rush faded, all that remained was saloons, brothels, and gambling, which earned Deadwood the reputation of being one of the wildest towns in the American West. Today, the brothels are gone. Saloons with names like Wild Bill's, Silverado, and Miss Kitty's still line historical Main Street, and gambling remains a major attraction. But the Black Hills area has earned a new reputation for having one of the best snowmobile trail systems in all of North America. "4,000 square miles of deep snow and a trail system voted the best in North America by the readers of Snowgoer Magazine makes South Dakota's Black Hills one of the premier snowmobile destinations. The 1995 road reports couldn't have been in a more perfect locale. The Black Hills received more than 225 inches of snow, a 10-year record. The towns of Deadwood, Lead, and Spearfish all have direct access to more than 300 miles of groomed snowmobile trails with hundreds of miles of open meadows, old logging roads to follow, and many hills to climb. With 1.3 million acres of spacious Black Hills National Forest in the region, off-trail riding opportunities are virtually unlimited if you prefer to blaze your own trail. This is the kind of unrestricted freedom that so many snowmobilers brag about in the Black Hills. Despite this go-anywhere type of freedom that sledders love, it is the extensive and highly developed Black Hills snowmobile trail system that has really brought the sport to prominence there. The trails wind through pine and spruce forests, up secluded valleys, over summits, and frequently open onto surprisingly wide meadows. These meadows are more like long valleys, a half-mile wide and 5 miles long, with waist-deep untracked powder. There's no wonder why the Black Hills area draws nearly 2,000 snowmobilers every week during the winter time, and why it was the choice for the 1995 road reports. These are just the kind of conditions necessary to push the 1995 snowmobiles to their limits, while making the test riders feel like they're in heaven on earth. And speaking of pushing the 95 snowmobiles to their limits, the Road Report test crew put a lot of miles on the new Skidoos. So let's take a look at what the Canadian sled maker has to offer.
Hi, I'm John Prusak, Associate Editor with Snowgoer and Snowmobile Magazines. What's new for Skidoo in 1995? Well, they have a whole new line of touring machines, some with the long travel touring suspension. There's a new Formula SS and Formula S, and a hydraulic brake has been added to some of the faster machines to give them more steady stopping.
One of several new models for Skidoo in '95 is the Formula SL Sport Performance Sled. The all-new Formula SL delivers on-trail performance through the powerful and economical fan-cooled Rotax 503 engine, features a direct shock-action front end, and a new long-travel twin-shock rear end that offers the rider 10 inches of travel. One of the most striking differences of this new sled is the sleeker-looking hood. The new hood is made of polyurethane, which delivers superior impact and scratch resistance at sub-zero temperatures. Another all-new entry is the Formula SS. There are two key elements in the performance equation of the Formula SS: less weight and more power. Weight savings come from the all-aluminum chassis, and the power comes on strong from the Rotax 670 twin with rotary intake valve and a pair of VM40 carbs. New on the popular Formula Z is direct shock action front suspension, radius rods, and an adjustable sway bar. The Z also has a new self-adjusting hydraulic disc brake. Everything on the MXZ makes it go faster, handle better, and get you down the trail with less fatigue. The MXZ is powered by a liquid-cooled Rotax rotary valve 437cc twin. It develops more torque than last year and sits deep in the lightweight frame for a lower center of gravity and razor-sharp handling. The MXZ also has hydraulic disc brakes. The deep powder specialists are the Summit 670 and 583. They boast a narrow 36-inch ski stance for superior side-hilling performance and steering, with tracks 15 inches wide by 136 inches long and featuring new 1.5-inch long track lugs. Both these sleds are awesome mountain climbing powder machines that won't have a problem making it up and over the top. The 95 Mach-Z provides jet-like thrust from its liquid-cooled Rotax 779 triple with rave, exhaust port modifiers, and triple pipes. When it's time to bring this powerful beast to a stop, there's no hesitation with new self-adjusting hydraulic disc brakes. The 1995 Mach-1 is virtually all new. The motivation for the improved Mach-1 is the Rotax 669cc liquid-cooled rotary twin. New big VM44 carbs feed each cylinder, and hydraulic disc brakes bring this sled to a halt. The new aerodynamic cam, blacked out low windshield, and sharp graphics make this sled look powerful, even when it's at a standstill. There wasn't much standing still at the rotary ports, even when it was time to put the sleds away for the evening, as you'll see when we come back.
I was ice fishing when my Chevy fell through the ice. We hauled it out, full of water, frozen solid. I changed the plugs, the fluids. It started right up. That was 100,000 miles ago.
Man, you think that's something. One night in 1980, a friend and myself were looking for a hunting spot. We missed a turn and actually went into a canal. You could see the headlights shining underwater with fish going by. Slammed it in reverse and backed right out. Truck never missed a beat.
Chevy, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
For active snowmobilers who want to be in the know and the first to know, there is only one source: Snowgoer Magazine. Snowgoer provides in-depth, unbiased information on the new machines. Only Snowgoer is willing to go out on a limb and tell you which sleds are better than others and what one machine deserves to be called Snowmobile of the Year. Snowgoer will take you to new vacation hotspots, tell you how to save money on performance add-ons, and keep you posted on what new products really work and products that don't. Order now 4 issues of Snowgoer for just $10.97. Call toll-free 1-800-877-6118 and charge to your Visa or MasterCard. That's 4 action-packed issues for just $10.97. Call now. What do you do when you've been snowmobiling all day but you're not ready to turn in yet? Well, Deadwood, South Dakota is known for more than just its wintertime activities. It's got a nightlife many towns can't match. As of 1980, Deadwood became a gambling town, unlike any other. It's unique with a rustic western decor of the 1880s, and as many as 80 gambling halls are in operation. There are many fine restaurants and lots of live entertainment as well as the gambling to keep your evenings just as exciting as your afternoons. Deadwood is not a vacation spot for rest and relaxation or for the faint of heart, but if you're looking for a winter wonderland that offers fun on the go with lots to do indoors and out, a trip to the Black Hills should be at the top of your vacation list. Speaking of fun on the go, let's get back to the trails and see what's new for Polaris in '95.
Hi, Phil Michelson, technical editor with Snowgoer Magazine. Polaris started the front suspension revolution a lot of years ago, and I think 2 of the most exciting models they got for '95 are the RXL with the extra long travel rear suspension and the XLT also with that long travel rear suspension. We've had a chance to ride it a bit, and it is unbelievable. Now there's a lot of other changes with Polaris. The XCR 600 is a standard production unit this year. There's refinements in the engines, transmission, calibration, that sort of thing, all the way through the line. There's an exciting new kind of a spirit with Polaris. There's a competition going on between all the manufacturers today that's incredible. And you can see it in all of them. But check out these Polarises for 95, especially that long travel suspension.
A big improvement for Polaris in 95 is improved seats for all their sleds with new 4-way stretch vinyl. And speaking of seats, there is also quite a choice in the Polaris 2-up seating arena. Indy Light GT, Indy Sport Touring, Indy Trail Deluxe, Indy XLT Touring, and the Indy RXL Touring. There's more good news for Indy buyers, as there will also be backlit Speedos on all full-size Indies for 95. The big news for Polaris is the new Extra front and rear suspension. The revolutionary Extra finds its way onto a couple of new sleds in the new model line, the Indy XLT Special and Indy RXL. Both sleds boast 10 inches of travel in the front and nearly 14 inches in the back, creating an incredibly smooth ride. The XLT is actually available in 3 styles in 95. First, there's the XLT with the new 597cc triple engine and new exhaust. Then there's the Indy XLT Special with the extra suspension and the 597 engine. Finally, there's the XLT Touring, which also has the 597. Polaris improved XC100 rear suspension, easy to adjust front shocks, the new Indy front hood, and a 2-up seat. The XCR 440 and XCR 600 now have the new XC101 rear suspension with padded racing seat, sculpted gas tank, and easily adjustable limiter strap. A new 1.5-inch deep lug paddle track is available on 3 models this year: the Storm SKS, XLT, and Indy 500 SKS. We can't leave out the return of the Indy 500 car, which features the new Indy front with a dark mid-height windshield and the XC100 rear. The Indy 500 is also available in the EFI version with a taller windshield. The return of the Indy 500 car was popular with the Snowgoer editors, and by week's end, it was one of several favorites of Tom and Sheila Morley. Earlier, we told you about the Morleys of Forest Lake, Minnesota. They got out of snowmobiling in 1979, but are now back in the market for a couple of new machines. With teenagers, they now see snowmobiling as a great family activity.
There's a great difference between the sleds we used to ride and the ones that we rode here at the Road Report this past week. They just ride so much better, and the handling, and the color on them is just tremendous.
The suspension is a lot different than it was back 10, 15 years ago when we were riding. A lot more comfort. There's a lot more options out there with the wonderful warmers, the hand warmers, the thumb warmers.
The steering, the shocks up front, they take the bump so well. You can ride the trails and they'll turn on ice or through the snow really well.
More speed now, but yet I feel that they hug the trails so well that it's very stable, and I can go a little bit faster than maybe I did before and still feel in control, and I really like that.
The sport of snowmobiling is growing, and one of the reasons is people like the Morleys who are getting back into the sport. The Morleys are hooked, and we're sure they'll bring several of their friends down to the dealership when it comes time to pick out those new sleds. Now that you've enjoyed a sneak peek at the 95 sleds, we're sure you'll want to head down to your local dealer too. And now that you know what's hot for 95, it won't be a problem deciding on a new snowmobile. Unless, of course, the problem is now deciding which one.
We're going back to the hills, back to the hills of South Dakota. Back to the hills. We're gonna challenge our sleds and push them harder than before. And we'll have a good time, just riding more and more.
We'd like to thank Chevrolet for being the official vehicle of the 95 Road Reports, and we hope you've enjoyed this trip back to the hills and the 1995 Road Reports. We'll leave you with a little glimpse of the action and fun behind the scenes, and we wish you a very safe and enjoyable season on the snow.
We're going back.